The alien flagship appeared without warning. It slid out of the black void above Earth's orbit like a silver blade drawn from its sheath. Massive in scale, its hull shimmered with light that rippled across its surface like flowing water. No human satellite had detected its approach. No telescope had tracked its arrival. It was simply there, looming, watching, a silent giant casting its shadow across the planet below. Inside the United Nations headquarters in New York, chaos erupted. Delegates whispered frantically into earpieces. Security forces rushed to reinforce checkpoints. News agencies scrambled to capture every angle. For years, humanity had speculated what first contact might look like. Now it was happening live, broadcast in real time to billions of homes across the globe. Then came the descent. From the belly of the alien flagship, a smaller craft detached and glided downward. Sleek and elegant, it cut through the clouds with effortless grace, as if gravity itself bent aside to make way. When it reached Manhattan, it slowed and hovered directly above the UN building. A ramp unfolded and figures emerged. Tall humanoid, wrapped in shining plates of armor that gleamed like liquid silver. The world held its breath. The aliens marched inside with deliberate calm, their movements precise, controlled. The chamber of the United Nations fell silent as the envoys entered. Delegates from every nation sat frozen, eyes fixed on the beings who carried themselves with an air of unquestionable superiority. At their front was the leader. Taller than the rest, his armor bore intricate markings that pulsed faintly with blue light. His voice, when it came, carried both authority and something else. Pity. Humans, he said. His words translated instantly into every language, echoing across the hall and across countless television screens. Your weapons are crude. Your armor is weak. Your soldiers are fragile. But we, the Vayari, wish to help you. He raised his hand. At once, 2 of his guards stepped forward, carrying a sealed crate of smooth black alloy. They set it down with reverence and opened it. Inside lay pieces of armor that shimmered with the same liquid light as the envoy's own suit. This is our gift, the leader declared. Our armor has defended us for thousands of years against the horrors of the galaxy. With it, you will no longer be vulnerable. With it, you may stand beside us. Gasps filled the chamber. The alien armor looked impossibly advanced, light, flexible, yet indestructible. One of the guards reached in, lifted a breastplate and held it high for all to see. Its surface shifted and pulsed like a living thing. The envoy's voice deepened. Accept our gift. Accept our protection. Without it, you will not survive what is coming. The words sank into the hall like heavy stones dropped into still water. The cameras captured everything, the awe on the faces of some delegates, the unease on others. Millions watching across the world leaned closer to their screens. Was this the moment humanity became part of something greater? Was this salvation or submission? The silence stretched on. Whispers broke out. Some ambassadors spoke quickly into microphones, urging acceptance. Others frowned, wary of the sudden generosity. But no one spoke aloud. No one dared, not yet. At the far end of the chamber, a man shifted in his seat. General Marcus Hayes, a veteran of 3 wars, scarred in both body and spirit, yet unshaken. His uniform was sharp, his posture rigid. His eyes, however, betrayed something unusual. A faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Unlike the others, Hayes was not overwhelmed. He studied the alien armor carefully, noting the way it shimmered, the way the guards handled it. He leaned forward slightly, resting his hands on the table before him. His gaze locked on the envoy with a look that was not awe, not fear, but challenge, the alien leader noticed. His eyes, glowing faintly beneath his helm, flickered toward Hayes. A question passed unspoken between them. Hayes did not flinch. The cameras caught the moment. One man, calm amidst the storm, his expression unreadable yet strangely confident. Viewers across the globe noticed too. Social media exploded with speculation. Why is that general smiling? Does he know something? Inside the hall, tension thickened. The alien envoy spoke again, this time more pointedly. Humanity stands at a crossroads. You can cling to your outdated weapons, your fragile armor, your illusion of strength. Or you can rise. Accept what we give you, and you will be protected. Refuse, and you will be alone. The words hung in the air like a threat disguised as generosity. Still, Hayes did not move. His smile widened ever so slightly, as though he were listening to a joke only he understood. His eyes gleamed with the kind of confidence that comes not from arrogance but from certainty. The hall grew restless. Delegates shifted in their seats. Some looked toward Hayes, wondering why he remained so calm. Did he know something the others did not? On the screens, commentators whispered their theories. Perhaps the general distrusted the aliens. Perhaps he was simply stubborn. Or perhaps, just perhaps, he held a secret. The alien envoy's gaze lingered on Hayes a moment longer before turning back to the crowd. He spread his arms wide. The galaxy is vast and merciless. You are children, playing with iron while others wield stars. Do not reject this gift. Do not mistake pride for wisdom. Accept and live. Refuse and perish. The silence returned heavier than before. Every ear strained for the response. And then, just for a heartbeat, the camera caught Hayes's expression in sharp focus. His faint smile had become something else entirely. Not amusement. Not arrogance, but confidence. Confidence born from knowledge the aliens clearly did not have. He leaned back in his chair, folding his hands, his eyes never leaving the envoys. The faint smile remained, steady and unshaken, and in that moment a single thought rippled across the audience, both in the chamber and across billions of screens. What is he hiding? The silence in the United Nations chamber felt heavy, like a storm about to break. Delegates sat frozen, torn between awe and suspicion. Outside, crowds gathered in the streets, their eyes locked on giant screens broadcasting every word. Around the world, homes, schools, and military bases alike watched with breathless attention. The alien envoy raised his hand, and at once, the guards beside him pressed a sequence of glowing symbols across the crate. A low hum filled the air as the container unfolded like a blooming flower. Inside lay row upon row of armor pieces, stacked with precision, each one shining with the same fluid metallic light as the envoy's own suit. This, the envoy declared, his voice resonating with authority, is the legacy of the Ve'ari. Each piece is crafted to merge with its wearer. It is light as silk, yet stronger than any material you know. It bends plasma. It absorbs radiation. It makes the fragile into the unbreakable. He gestured, and one of his soldiers stepped forward. The guard slid the armor onto his body, the plates molding seamlessly around his frame, until it was impossible to see where alien flesh ended and technology began. To demonstrate, another guard raised a plasma rifle and fired. A bolt of crackling green energy slammed into the soldier's chest plate. The armor shimmered, the light rippling outward like ripples on a pond. When the glow faded, there was no mark. The soldier stood unshaken, unhurt. Gasps and murmurs erupted in the chamber. Some delegates clapped instinctively, their fear giving way to wonder. The envoy let the reaction swell before speaking again, his voice softer now, almost gentle. Your armor is steel, Kevlar, and ceramic. Heavy, brittle, outdated. You send your young to war wrapped in coffins. We offer them wings. With this, no blade can pierce them. No fire can burn them. No bullet can stop them. The words spread across the hall like honey, thick, sweet, almost irresistible. On the screens, commentators spoke with barely contained excitement. Military experts called the armor a revolution. Political analysts debated what acceptance might mean for alliances and power. Some even dared to dream an end to human vulnerability. But not everyone was convinced. Ambassador Okoye of Nigeria leaned forward, her voice sharp and steady. You give this freely? Why? What do the Ve'ari gain from arming mankind? The envoy turned his glowing eyes upon her. The galaxy is vast. Beyond the rim, enemies stir. The survival of your species ensures stability. A stable Earth is in our interest. Others nodded, convinced. The words sounded reasonable, practical, but General Hayes remained silent. He studied the armor with a soldier's eye, not dazzled by its sheen, but dissecting its purpose. His jaw tightened slightly. He had seen promises before, promises of safety, promises of protection, always at a price. The envoy stepped closer to the center of the chamber. You need not fear betrayal. This armor is not a leash. It is a shield. Accept it and you stand beside us. Reject it and you stand alone against what comes. At the word alone, his tone shifted. The chamber noticed. The cameras noticed. Billions noticed. It was not just an offer, it was a warning. Ambassador Ruiz of Spain whispered into her microphone. His voice carried through the hall. Perhaps it is wise to accept. To reject such a gift would be reckless. A ripple of agreement followed. Delegates exchanged uneasy glances. The envoy sensed the momentum shifting in his favor. He raised both hands, palms glowing faintly with the same energy as the armor. His voice deepened, wrapping the chamber in solemn gravity. Do not mistake this for charity. This is necessity. The storms that circle the galaxy will not wait for you to grow. Take what we give and you will endure. Without it you are dust. The silence returned. The chamber buzzed like a disturbed hive. The words of General Marcus Hayes had struck like lightning, sudden, shocking, impossible to ignore. Humanity already has armor. The declaration echoed through the hall, reverberating across the globe. Commentators scrambled to fill the silence. Analysts shouted over one another on news networks. On social media, the phrase trended instantly, dissected, debated, memed. But inside the chamber, the reaction was not laughter. It was division. Ambassador Ruiz of Spain stood quickly, his face pale. General Hayes, with respect, we are standing before beings who have traveled across the stars. Their technology is beyond anything we know. Do you suggest that our crude equipment could rival theirs? A ripple of murmured agreement followed. Several delegates nodded vigorously. The allure of the alien gift shimmered before them like a golden fruit dangling just out of reach, but others were less convinced. Ambassador Okoye of Nigeria narrowed her eyes. And yet General Hayes does not speak idly. His words carry weight. Perhaps he knows something the rest of us do not. The envoy of the Vayari, still standing tall at the center of the chamber, turned his glowing gaze toward Hayes. The faint smile returned, sharp as a blade. Your pride blinds you. Humanity has survived only because the galaxy has not yet chosen to crush you. Do not mistake luck for strength. His words, though calm, were edged with scorn. Hayes did not flinch. His posture was iron, his eyes unblinking. We have survived because we earned it, not by hiding behind gifts, not by bending knee to those who claim to know better. Our strength is not borrowed. It is built. The envoy tilted his head, feigning curiosity. Then why hide it? If your armor is so great, why keep it buried? Hayes's lips curved faintly. Because humanity does not reveal its teeth until threatened. The chamber erupted again. Shouts, whispers, frantic exchanges. Some delegates demanded Hayes prove his claim immediately. Others accused him of recklessness, of endangering humanity's one chance at survival. At the far end of the hall, the Secretary-General of the UN struck his gavel for silence. The sound echoed harshly, pulling the room back from the edge. We will have order. This chamber is not a battlefield, but in truth it already was. The debate raged. Ambassador Ruiz rose again. We cannot gamble with humanity's future. These beings offer us technology that could leap us forward centuries. To reject it is madness. Ambassador Liang of China countered sharply. Or perhaps it is submission that is madness. Gifts of this scale are never free. What price will they demand when we are dependent on their armor? The hall split into factions. Some shouted about progress, about survival. Others warned of chains wrapped in silver, and through it all Hayes stood silent, his arms folded, watching. His calmness was unnerving, almost infuriating. He seemed less a man debating and more a predator waiting. The Vayari envoy sensed the division and pressed harder. He gestured to the shimmering armor. Look upon it. It is more than protection, it is evolution. Your soldiers will no longer bleed. Your wars will no longer consume your young. With this you rise. Without it you remain children playing at war. His words carried a dangerous beauty. Delegates leaned forward, captivated. The offer felt irresistible, like a siren's call. But Hayes finally spoke, his voice cutting through the haze. And if we refuse? The question struck the room like a hammer. Delegates froze. The envoy's glow dimmed slightly. His reply came slowly, each word deliberate. Then did you stand alone? And when the storm comes, you will be swept away. The threat, though veiled, was unmistakable. The hall fell into uneasy silence. The cameras captured every flicker of expression, fear, doubt, calculation. Billions of viewers held their breath. Hayes stepped forward, his boots echoing on the polished floor. He stopped only a few paces from the envoy, close enough that the cameras could see the lines of age and battle etched into his face. You speak of storms, Hayes said, his voice steady, iron. We have lived through storms. We have bled in trenches, burned in fire, drowned in seas, and still we rise. We do not bow to storms. We endure them. We overcome them. The envoy's glow flickered again. His calm mask remained, but his eyes narrowed. For the first time, uncertainty shadowed his expression. Around them, the debate reignited louder than before. Some demanded proof of Hayes's words. Others begged the envoy for patience. The chamber was on the verge of collapse. Finally, the Secretary-General struck his gavel once more. Enough! The time for words is over. General Hayes, if what you say is true, then show us. Show the world what humanity has built. All eyes turned to Hayes. He did not hesitate. Very well. He turned toward the cameras, toward billions of unseen eyes across the planet, and nodded once. You will see what humanity has forged, and then you will understand why we do not bow. The chamber froze in anticipation. Delegates exchanged anxious glances. The envoy's faint smile flickered, just for a heartbeat, as though a shadow of doubt crossed his mind. The world leaned closer to its screens, and in that moment, suspense thickened into something sharper, more dangerous. The promise of revelation hung heavy in the air. The very envoy's voice came low, almost a whisper, though every microphone carried it. Then show us, and let us see whether your pride has teeth. Hayes's eyes glimmered. His faint smile returned. It does, and with that, humanity's secret was set to be unveiled. The world held its breath. When General Marcus Hayes spoke those final words, it does. It was as though the axis of history shifted. The chamber of the United Nations, already electric with tension, now vibrated with anticipation. Every delegate, every guard, every alien eye turned to him, waiting for what would come next. Hayes gave no speech, no grand declaration. He simply tapped a small device on his wrist. At once, the great monitors lining the walls of the chamber flickered to life. The seal of the United States Department of Defense appeared for a heartbeat before dissolving into live footage. The camera feed came from deep beneath the Nevada desert. A cavernous hangar stretched into the distance, lined with shadows and steel. Rows of massive floodlights flicked on in sequence, illuminating what lay hidden within. The chamber gasped as the image sharpened. Figures stepped out of the darkness. Human soldiers, dozens of them marching in unison. But they were not clad in Kevlar, nor steel, nor anything the world had ever seen. Their bodies were sheathed in black angular suits, sharp-edged and predatory, as though shadows had been forged into armor. The suits hummed faintly with internal energy, glowing lines pulsing across their frames like veins of molten fire. Their visors gleamed with a menacing blue light. Each soldier moved with unnatural precision, their footsteps eerily synchronized. It was humanity's secret. It was the Aegis program born in hidden labs, perfected in silence. The room erupted with disbelief. This cannot be real. How long have they... Impossible! Even the Vayari envoy leaned forward slightly, the glow of his eyes dimming as he studied the image. For the first time, his composure cracked. Hayes's voice filled the chamber. This is the Aegis Mark VII, designed not to imitate alien technology, but to defeat it. Forged from alloys no outsider has ever touched. Fueled by power systems you thought we could never build. Tested in fire in secret until it became more than armor. It became survival made flesh. On the screens, the soldiers demonstrated. One sprinted forward, faster than the human eye could follow, blurring across the hangar like a streak of black lightning. Another leapt high, soaring 10 meters into the air, before landing in silence, the ground unshaken despite the weight. Then came the real test. A controlled explosion detonated within the hangar. Fire roared outward, smoke billowing, shockwaves rippling through steel walls. The soldiers stood firm within the inferno, their armor glowing briefly before cooling. When the fire cleared, not one had taken a step back. Not one had fallen. The chamber was silent, stunned into disbelief. Hayes let the silence stretch before speaking again. We built this not because we wanted war, but because we remembered. Humanity has lived with war for thousands of years. We have fought in mud, in ice, in deserts, in oceans, in skies and beyond. We learned. We adapted. Every weapon turned against us, we studied. Every weakness revealed, we closed. And when the stars opened, we knew the galaxy would test us the same way. He leaned closer to the microphone. His words carried a weight that no translation could soften. We did not wait for gifts. We prepared. On the screen, a soldier raised his arm. The suit shifted, panels sliding open to reveal integrated weaponry. an energy projector humming with stored power. He fired. A bolt of searing light tore through reinforced steel plating, leaving molten scars across the hangar wall. Delegates recoiled. Even the Vayari envoy's soldiers shifted uneasily, their armor gleaming less proudly under the sight of something darker, hungrier. The envoy himself remained still, but his voice betrayed a crack in its perfect calm. This is dangerous. You have created something reckless. It is not strength, it is arrogance. Hayes' smile deepened just enough to unsettle. Dangerous? Yes. Reckless? No, it is necessary. You came offering us your armor, as if we were children with sticks and stones, but you never asked whether we had already grown teeth. The chamber buzzed with fear and awe. Some delegates whispered about rejecting the alien gift entirely. Others still doubted, clinging to the safety of the Vayari's shimmering plates. The chamber of the United Nations had never felt so fragile. Delegates leaned forward in their seats, torn between fear and awe, as the last echoes of General Hayes' words faded. The Aegis armor, black, angular, terrifying, hung in their minds like a shadow across the future. For several long moments, the Vayari envoy said nothing. His glowing eyes dimmed and flared again, as if his calm composure was struggling against something else, anger perhaps, or disbelief. Around him his guards shifted uncomfortably, their silvery plates gleaming less like salvation and more like relics. Finally, the envoy spoke. You display your soldiers in shadows and fire, but demonstrations are not truth. Armor is proven not in laboratories or theaters, but in combat. In the clash of strength against strength, the words rolled across the hall like thunder. He turned, gesturing to one of his guards. The chosen Vayari stepped forward, his armor shining like liquid light, his frame tall and imposing. The envoy's voice sharpened. Let us test your claim. Your armor against ours. Your soldier against one of mine. The chamber erupted at once. Delegates protested, voices rising in chaos. This is madness. We cannot allow blood to be spilled here. This is not a battlefield. But the envoy raised his hand, silencing them with chilling ease. His glowing eyes locked once again on General Hayes. Or do you fear what will be revealed? It was a challenge, public, undeniable. To refuse would be to admit weakness. To accept would risk disaster. Hayes didn't blink. His voice was steady. Very well. We accept. The words crashed into the chamber like a detonation. Delegates shouted in disbelief, but it was too late. The decision was made. Within the hour, arrangements were complete. The test would not take place in the chamber, but in a secure facility beneath the UN building, a training arena designed for peacekeeping drills. The cameras followed every moment, broadcasting live to billions across Earth and through alien relays across the galaxy. The arena was stark and circular, its floor reinforced steel, its walls lined with blast-resistant plating. Overhead, lights glared down like suns. On one side, the Vayari warrior entered, his silver armor rippling with alien energy. He moved with the grace of a predator, each step silent, purposeful. He carried no weapon, the armor itself was weapon enough. On the opposite side, a human figure stepped forward, a soldier of the Aegis program, clad in the black angular suit. His visor glowed a cold blue, his movements sharp, efficient. Unlike the Vayari, he carried no arrogance in his posture, only readiness. The world held its breath. The Secretary General's voice echoed from above. This will be a controlled test. No lethal strikes. Demonstration only. But everyone knew what was truly at stake. The signal was given. The Vayari warrior moved first, a blur of silver light. His fist shot forward, a strike strong enough to shatter steel. The blow connected with the human's chest plate. Yet instead of crumpling, the armor absorbed the force, glowing faintly as it dispersed the energy. The human staggered back a single step, then straightened. Gasps filled the observation deck. The human soldier responded. He surged forward, faster than most eyes could follow, his gauntlet slamming into the Vayari's chest. The silver armor rang like a bell, rippling under the impact. The warrior grunted, sliding back across the steel floor. The envoy's eyes narrowed. The duel escalated. Plasma bolts erupted from the Vayari's gauntlets, searing across the arena. The human armor drank the energy, its glowing lines brightening as if feeding. The soldier raised his arm and redirected the stored power, firing it back in a concentrated blast. The alien staggered under the counterattack, his armor flickering for the first time. The chamber above erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted. Commentators screamed into microphones. The world was watching history unfold. The Vayari warrior roared and launched forward again, striking in a furious barrage, fists, kicks, bursts of plasma. Each hit landed with devastating force, each one enough to cripple a tank. Yet the human armor endured, bending but never breaking, absorbing and releasing energy in bursts that battered the alien back. Then came the moment that silenced all debate. The human soldier caught the alien's strike, twisted, and slammed his fist into the silver chestplate with calculated precision. The armor dented. A second strike followed, cracking the surface. Sparks burst from the alien's suit as its systems faltered. The warrior stumbled, struggling to rise. His once proud armor hissed and sparked, its sheen fading. With a final effort, he raised his hand, only to find the cold edge of a black gauntlet pressed against his chest. Humming with stored energy, the human soldier spoke at last. His voice carried through external speakers, calm and unshaken. Yield! For a long, painful moment, the alien hesitated. Pride burned in his glowing eyes. But his armor was failing, his strength spent. Slowly, with bitterness etched into every movement, he lowered his hand. I yield. The arena fell silent. The words echoed across the galaxy. The human stepped back, lowering his gauntlet. The blue glow of his visor faded slightly, calm returning to his posture. The duel was over. Humanity had won. Above, in the observation chamber, General Hayes stood with arms folded. He did not smile this time. His expression was stone. You wanted proof, he said, his voice carrying through the room. There it is. The Vayari envoy said nothing. His glowing eyes remained locked on the soldier below, unreadable. For the first time, the mask of superiority seemed fragile. Across Earth, crowds erupted. Some cheered, tears streaming down their faces. Others stood in silence, shaken by what they had seen. The galaxy watched too. Species long accustomed to mocking humans now whispered uneasily among themselves. The message was clear. Humanity was not a child needing protection. Humanity had built armor not just to survive, but to dominate, and the Vayari had been forced to admit it. The arena had gone quiet, the echoes of the clash still lingering like smoke after a fire. The defeated Vayari warrior was helped away by his comrades, his silver armor cracked and sparking. His head hung low, pride shattered for all to see. But the human soldier in the Aegis armor stood tall, calm, unshaken. The glow of his visor dimmed as the systems powered down, revealing a face young but hardened. He saluted General Hayes, then walked off the arena floor without a word. Billions had witnessed what no one thought possible. Humanity's armor had not only endured, it had won. Yet in the chamber above, tension did not ease. The Vayari envoy's glowing eyes burned with anger and confusion. Delegates shouted across the room, their voices rising in fear. Some demanded answers, others demanded limits. The galaxy had just seen humanity's power, and power always raised questions. At the center of it all, General Hayes stood unmoving. His silence drew every eye toward him. Finally, the Secretary-General's trembling voice broke the chaos. General Hayes, the world has seen what your Aegis program can do. But now you must tell us why. Why build such terrifying armor? Who is it meant for? The question cut through the chamber. Cameras zoomed in, billions watching every flicker of Hayes' expression. For a moment, he said nothing. His face was stone, his eyes hard. Then he drew a slow breath. It is not meant for you, not for the Vayari, not for any of the council races. His words sent a ripple of confusion through the room. Delegates exchanged puzzled looks. The envoy narrowed his eyes. Hayes continued, his voice steady, carrying the weight of dark memory. Years ago, long before the Vayari made contact, humanity's deep space probes found something. A ruin, drifting at the edge of the Perseus Arm. Not a derelict ship. Not a station, a battlefield. The chamber hushed. Hayes' eyes darkened as he spoke. There were remains. Not human, not Vayari, not anything in your archives. The weapons we found were designed to tear through armor like yours, armor said to be unbreakable. And yet, every piece we recovered was destroyed. Something had broken them. Something had killed them. The room froze. Even the alien envoy's calm mask cracked slightly. Hayes stepped forward, his voice dropping lower, sharper. We studied what little remained. We pieced together fragments of their war machines, their armor, and from it we learned one thing. If those creatures still exist, they are beyond anything the galaxy has faced. He paused, letting the weight settle. That is why the Aegis was made, not as a gift to impress, not as a tool of conquest, but as a shield, a weapon forged because one day something might come back, and when it does, humanity will not be caught unprepared. Gasps rippled across the chamber. Delegates whispered in disbelief. Some shook their heads, refusing to accept it. Others looked shaken, pale, as if their foundations had cracked. The Vayari envoy finally spoke, his tone colder now. You speak of myths, ghost stories written on metal. You would have us believe you created such monstrous armor out of fear? Hayes's gaze locked on him. No, not fear, preparation. Humanity has learned through blood and fire. Waiting until the danger arrives is too late. We prepare before the storm comes. The envoy bristled, but Hayes pressed on. His voice grew louder, echoing through the chamber and into the cameras broadcasting to every world. You offered us your armor as if we were children needing toys. But you do not understand. Humanity doesn't wait for protection. We build it ourselves. Because if those ruins are a warning, and I believe they are, then when the darkness comes, it won't care about your traditions, your superiority, or your pride. It will only care about who can survive the fire. The duel was over. The truth had been spoken, yet the echoes of that day did not fade. For hours after General Hayes's revelation, the United Nations chamber boiled with chaos. Delegates screamed across the hall, accusing, questioning, pleading. Some demanded that the Aegis armor be banned before it destabilized the galaxy. Others insisted that humanity's discovery of the ruins proved one thing: a greater threat existed, and ignoring it would be suicide. The Vayari envoy stood silent among it all. His glowing eyes shifted between fury and unease. His people had come to Earth to offer a gift of protection, confident in their superiority. Instead, they had been humiliated, first by defeat, then by revelation. Their pride was wounded, their certainty shaken. Cameras captured every second. Billions across the stars watched the madness unfold. On distant worlds, ordinary citizens whispered in taverns and marketplaces. The humans defeated the Vayari warrior. The humans built armor stronger than any we've seen. The humans claim something worse is coming. What began as whispers grew into fear. Across the galaxy, leaders convened in emergency meetings. Some called for sanctions against Earth, others demanded alliances, and in the shadows of those, Council's darker thoughts took root, thoughts of preemptive strikes, of eliminating humanity before its power grew unchecked. But Earth itself was different. Humanity, long mocked as primitive, now stood taller. Crowds poured into the streets, waving flags, chanting Hayes's name, shouting with pride. For the first time, the species felt united not by fear, but by certainty. They were no longer begging for a place among the stars. They had claimed it. In the secure depths of the Aegis facility, soldiers trained without pause. Rows of armored figures sparred, drilled, and pushed the limits of their suits. Engineers worked day and night, refining designs, testing new weapons. The black angular suits glowed faintly in the shadows, like predators waiting in the dark. Yet even amid the triumph, a quiet unease spread. Hayes's words echoed in every home. It is not if, it is when. In orbit above Earth, the Vayari flagship prepared to depart. The envoy stood at the viewing port, his reflection shimmering against the stars. His second-in-command spoke softly, hesitant. Do you believe the human, Exarch? Do you believe there is something out there? The envoy did not answer at first. His pride battled with the weight of what he had seen. Finally, his voice was low. I do not know, but I know this. Humanity is dangerous. If what he says is true, they may be the only ones ready. And if it is not, then they may one day be the threat we feared all along. The flagship vanished into the void, carrying doubt and wounded pride with it. Back on Earth, General Hayes stood alone in his office overlooking New York. The city below glowed with lights, unaware of the burdens he carried. He poured himself a glass of water and stared at the stars beyond the glass. A knock sounded at the door. The young soldier who had fought in the arena stepped inside, still carrying the quiet calm of victory. He removed his helmet, his face determined. "Sir, the people are calling us heroes. They think we've proven ourselves." Hayes did not smile. His eyes remained fixed on the stars. "We've proven nothing. All we've done is remind the galaxy that humanity won't kneel. But that's not the fight I'm preparing for." The soldier hesitated. "Do you really think they'll come? The ones from the ruins?" Hayes turned at last, his gaze heavy with certainty. "They will. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in our lifetime. But they will come, and when they do, it won't be a duel or a test or a demonstration. It will be war." The soldier swallowed hard, but he nodded. "Then we'll be ready." Hayes studied the young man, seeing not just him but the future of humanity. Bold, unyielding, willing to stand when others bowed. A flicker of pride passed across his face, but it was tempered by grim resolve. Far beyond the solar system, in the silent dark between stars, something stirred. Machines older than empires drifted among ruins, their sensors flickering to life. Signals, faint but undeniable, echoed across the void, and deep within a broken world at the edge of the Perseus arm, something vast opened a single burning eye. It had slept for millennia, but now it had heard a challenge. A spark in the dark. Humanity's voice carried on transmissions across the stars. The storm Hayes warned of had already begun to wake. Back on Earth, fireworks lit the night sky. Crowds sang, cheered, celebrated. But Hayes stood at the window, unmoved. His voice was quiet, meant only for himself. "Let them cheer. Let them think we've won. Because the real war hasn't even started." The camera lingered on him, framed against the stars, his reflection caught in the glass. A lone man, burdened with knowledge, preparing for a future no one else wanted to believe. The screen faded to black. Text appeared, stark and cold. Humanity had won the duel, but in the darkness of space, something was listening, and it was coming. The world celebrated, but the galaxy trembled. For weeks after the duel, humanity's name echoed through every star system. News channels replayed the footage endlessly. The moment the Vayari warrior's armor cracked, the instant the human soldier's black gauntlet pressed against his chest, the single word spoken across the stars, yield. On Earth, cities were alive with pride. Flags draped from skyscrapers. Children wore toy replicas of Aegis helmets. Reporters called it the day humanity stood tall, but in the shadows of power, not all celebrated. In council chambers across alien worlds, leaders whispered in fear. Humanity had revealed not just strength but intent. They had not begged for gifts. They had not accepted protection. They had built their own, and it had humbled one of the galaxy's proudest empires. Some saw hope, others saw danger, and a few, watching silently, saw opportunity. General Hayes sat in a dimly lit war room beneath the Aegis facility. The air was thick with tension, the glow of holoscreens painting his face in blue light. Around the table sat Earth's generals, scientists, and political leaders. On the central screen, images rotated, fragments of alien ruins, strange glyphs burned into stone, wreckage of weapons fused by unimaginable heat. Hayes's voice was calm, but his words cut deep. "We have entered the galaxy not as children, but as rivals. The Vayari will not forget what happened here. They will plot, others will fear, and some may even come to strike first." He tapped a command, and the screen shifted, showing something far worse. A broken starship, half buried in ice, its jagged hull still glowing faintly after thousands of years. "But they are not what keeps me awake at night." Hayes's voice lowered. "It's them." The room was silent. Everyone knew what he meant. The ruins, the silent battlefield, the shadows that had left behind only fragments and warnings. "They are still out there," Hayes said. "And if they wake, then everything we've seen so far will look like a children's game." The leaders exchanged grim looks. Pride from the duel was already fading, replaced with the heavy weight of what might come. Far across the stars, in a forgotten corner of the Perseus arm, the ruins stirred. Deep beneath the crust of a dead world, Machines older than empires activated for the first time in millennia. Their lights flickered. Their sensors reached out, tasting signals drifting from distant space. They heard humanity's transmissions, the duel, the speeches, the warnings. They recorded the moment the human armor had redirected energy like a predator feeding on fire. And they recognized it. For the first time in ages, the ancient machines sent a pulse across the void. A signal, a call. Something vast shifted in the darkness beyond the galaxy's rim. On the Vayari homeworld, the Exarch stood in his council chamber, surrounded by his people's most trusted advisors. Rage burned through him, but it was tempered by something more dangerous: doubt. "The humans," one advisor whispered. "They defeated us with their armor. Their general claims a storm is coming. What if he is right?" The Exarch's fist clenched. He wanted to dismiss it, to declare humanity reckless liars. But he remembered the arena, the sound of silver cracking, the humiliation of defeat. And in the silence of his private thoughts, he wondered if perhaps humanity had not just built armor, but found a destiny the rest of the galaxy feared to face. Still, pride is a dangerous master. His voice thundered through the chamber. "Whether they face shadows or not, we cannot allow them to rise unchecked. If the humans wish to prepare for war, then they will have one." Back on Earth, Hayes stood at his office window once again, watching the lights of New York shimmer against the night. The world was cheering, celebrating. But he did not. His young soldier entered quietly. "Sir, the people believe we're safe now. They believe the Aegis makes us untouchable." Hayes didn't turn. His eyes stayed on the stars. "No one is untouchable. Not us, not them, not anyone." The soldier hesitated. "Then why tell them? Why reveal the truth about the ruins?" Hayes finally turned, his expression like carved stone. "Because lies don't build strength. Only truth does. And when the darkness comes, humanity must be united. Not divided, not blind, united." The soldier nodded, though unease lingered in his eyes. Hayes looked back to the stars, and for a fleeting second, he thought he saw something, like a shadow moving against the void, far, far away. He closed his eyes. It has already begun. The camera pulled back, leaving Earth behind, drifting past the moon, past the glowing sweep of the solar system, into the black ocean beyond. In that endless dark, far past the reach of human eyes, a vast shape stirred. Metallic, colossal, silent,